Hello and welcome back once again. It's another week, another podcast. Last week, when we started off, you noticed a bit of a change with the black background, and now I've even upgraded a little bit more. Got a nice microphone. This mic I've actually always had. I just finally bought a stand with it that I could attach to my desk, so it's like, you might as well utilize what you have, you know what I mean? So here we are, another big week. Also, sorry if in the intro the music kind of came on at a random time. I had a bit of a problem with the music there, but anyway, the show must go on, of course. We had a huge episode of AEW Dynamite tonight. Completely stacked show, just bang, 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 segment after segment after segment. Some segments got like 2 seconds because there's just so much packed into the show. But up and down, it was just purely entertaining, so we'll get right into it. Just a few of the key things that we saw. Of course, Shaquille O'Neal showing up, being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, as well as the Icon Sting, making his second appearance to AEW Dynamite. Kenny Omega, of course, is our new AEW champion. We'll talk a bit about the TNA stuff that happened, and the other couple big things, Jericho, the Ultimatum with the Inner Circle, as well as Orange Cassidy versus MJF for the Diamond Ring. The show started off tonight with Young Bucks versus TH2. Absolutely great match. It was like almost pay-per-view caliber. The stipulation for this match was if TH2 win, they earn a title shot. After last week's whole attack with the Acclaimed, who were there, the new tag team. So Matt and Nick are being interviewed by Dasha. She's basically like, yo, Kenny didn't keep the gentleman's agreement. Are you guys like still cool? Matt says that he's super happy for Kenny, you know, that he won the title, but he hasn't seen him at all since last week. And the match starts, and obviously TH2 and Young Bucks are going 100 miles an hour. There's a crazy spot where Jack did like a backwards dive to Nick on the outside, and it led to an assisted diving stomp by TH2 onto Matt, as well as a standing assisted 450 for a near fall. Nick Jackson got a springboard spike pile driver for a near fall. Matt Jackson powerbombed Jack Evans onto the Acclaimed in the crowd, so obviously their business with the Acclaimed is far from over. Young Bucks land their risky business for a near fall. Neckbreaker, backbreaker, and 450 springboard by TH2 for a near fall. Matt got Evans in an electric chair at one point. Nick connected a clothesline, basically landed a doomsday device. And Helico ate a super kick, but then kicked out right at the end. Young Bucks try landing their bang for a buck, can't do it. Jack Evans lands a poison rana on Matt. Apron 450 onto Nick Jackson, keep him out of the ring. And by this point of the match, like, I was honestly, there's a few times and I was thinking, like, TH2 might take this one. It was getting real close a few times. And Helico, especially at this moment, where Angelico locked in his Navarro death roll submission in the middle of the ring onto Matt Jackson. And it was in the middle of the ring. It was like Matt can't go anywhere. And Helico's in the ring, you know, on standby because he already killed Nick on the outside. So it's just Angelico and Matt in this submission. But eventually Nick gets back. Swanton right onto Angelico to break the submission. Jack Evans tried an outside dive. Matt caught him, put him into the pile driver, the tombstone pile driver position. And Nick assists with, I don't remember if it was the Indie Taker or the Meltzer driver, but one of those. Bucks get a stereo super kick to Angelico and land their BTE trigger for the win. And post-match, the Acclaimed come to attack the Young Bucks, but are quickly distracted by Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. And it was later announced that we will see the two teams wrestle next week. So we will see the Acclaimed in action. So next we see MJF, and he's showing off his pinky, and there's a ring missing. He says he doesn't like his pinky being bare. I guess they had to take the ring away from him for the match, you know, just for the day until either he or Cassidy wins it. Says he's going to piss off all the smart marks by beating Cassidy. He's better than us, and we know it. And Darby Allin has a new video. This time he actually didn't do anything freaking insane. He's actually with a psychologist, which, you know, after all the crazy stuff this guy does, I guess it's kind of appropriate. And they're doing the thing where, like, there's photos. Oh, tell me what you think, whatever. So there's one photo, and he's like, oh, this is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And that's referring to Ricky Starks. What do you think of this picture? Oh, it's a snake in the grass, referring to Will Hobbs. Oh, what's this picture? Oh, it's a puppet, referring to Brian Cage. Whoa. That's Alexa trying to get onto the show. I'm usually pretty good with muting that. He also says that Brian Cage is the #1 contender who tried ending Darby's career. Says that this match is his whole life in the making after dealing with shitty people like Brian Cage. And Darby's shown a final picture. This time it's Sting's mask or face paint pattern. And the psychologist is like, what do you think of this? And Darby just starts laughing. So next segment, Cody Rhodes coming out with his overproduced entrance. In the crowd, or up in the rafters, is Darby Allin looking on. That's like where he lives, I assume, at this point. Cody's about to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone with Arn Anderson, and he asks his reaction to Sting's arrival. Lights immediately go out right after he asks the question, and what do you know, here comes Sting. And first thing I thought was just like, Cody couldn't help himself, man. He was like, I gotta be there. I gotta be there for Sting, like technically Sting's first segment. So he was there basically like kind of for no reason. I guess they kind of did a little bit of hyping. We'll get into it. So Sting gets to the ring and Arn Anderson goes up to him. They're kind of staring face to face. The crowd is popping. The crowd actually throughout the show, like, I don't even necessarily think it was piped in. Like, I think the actual limited crowd in the building was pretty damn hot tonight, unless they're just really good at piping in crowd noise. Because it still sounded like it was only like 500 to 1,000 people or whatever, but they were crazy today. Kudos to them. So again, like I mentioned, Arn Anderson kind of went up to Sting, but Arn was like, listen, man, it's nothing bad. I just had to get closer to make sure this is real. And he says that, you know what, I know both you and Cody got an agenda, so I'm going to get out of here. So Arn Anderson leaves the ring. Even Tony Schiavone was like, you know what, forget this. Why am I going to interview this guy? Let's just let him say whatever he wants to say. So Tony Schiavone's about to leave the ring, and we got one of, like, the best moments, like, I swear, in wrestling, man, where, so Tony's about to leave, and Sting's like, listen, man, where are you going, dude? You know, after all these decades, you know, of working with you and stuff, they give each other a hug, and they're just loving each other, man. And Sting loved hearing Tony Schiavone say, it's Sting, last week, you know, for the first time in like 2 decades. And Sting was like, listen, man, I need another one, buddy. So he tells Tony, listen, give me another It's Sting. And Tony delivered it like so great. It's Sting! And Sting is just, he's so happy, and Cody's just loving it. So Cody welcomes Sting back, thanks him for the assist last week. Cody gets to the point and says that he's been waiting to share a ring with Sting for a very long time. And then Sting is like, I don't care about this guy. He's like, I'm not here for you, man. He literally says that. He's like, at least not right now. He said that he feels at home at AEW, says that there's something really familiar. And he's looking around and he says, really familiar. And he looks up at Darby Allin. Of course, because Darby's the mini Sting, I guess. Sting says that the crowds are still wild. Sting is in the jungle on TNT once again. Cody welcomes him once again. There is a little bit of tension. It seemed like there is a little something going on. Sting says that Cody knows everything that goes on in AEW. The only thing for sure about Sting is that nothing's for sure, except that he's officially signed with AEW. And plans on staying with us for a long time. So Sting ain't going anywhere. So the next thing he said is the way Sting plays is his business. He pretty much, like, grabs Cody, like grabs, but, like, puts his arm around him, but kind of tight. He's like, see you around, kid. So it's like, I think Sting is definitely going to be wrestling. I could only imagine, like, what Undertaker might be thinking, he's like, dude, this guy's got like 6 years on me and he's coming back. Yeah, I don't think Undertaker's retiring. Next up, we got Team Taz. Taz is sarcastically thrilled about the last segment. Says that last week Cage, Hobbs, and Starks beat up Darby and Cody, and they needed old Sting to save them. Stark says that the star student, Hook, is with Team Taz. Taz says that his men are always ready to beat ass. And so next up, we got the Varsity Blondes. It's Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. versus FTR alongside Tully Blanchard. Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison debuted on Dynamite today. Actually, I'm not sure if it was both guys debuted for like the first time on Dynamite or it's the team who debuted on Dynamite. I think I remember seeing them on Dynamite before. But into the match, Brian Pillman, actually it was kind of surprising. The Varsity Blondes here, they got a surprising amount of offense at the start of the match. Brian Pillman got a diving cross body on FTR real early on. Later, though, it obviously turned around. Cash landed an assisted elbow drop on Pillman. That was during the commercial break. Pillman landed a diving shoulder block onto, I think it was Cash. It was a little bit sloppy. It didn't look too great. These guys are still kind of green, though, I guess. Hot tags Garrison, makes a comeback on FTR, including a double spear for a near fall. Dax landed a brainbuster. FTR both land Goodnight Express for the win. So the match didn't go too long, but like I said, there was a good 4 minutes at the beginning or so, 2 to 3 minutes where the babyfaces were actually getting some offense. After the match was a tense stare down between FTR and Jurassic Express, who are in the crowd. Alex Marvez is with Hangman Adam Page. Says that he's going to be in a 6-man tag next week. And also mentioned that Matt Hardy had eliminated him from the Battle Royal last week. The thing is, Hangman actually needs partners for the 6-man next week. And so basically the interview's taking place in the bar. And so right behind the bar table, who pops up except for Alex Reynolds and John Silver? And they are offering their partnership. Hangman denies it. Reynolds says that, listen, dude, you got no one else. Nobody else is going to be your partner. Hangman thinks about it, and he insists, fine, just this once. So it's like, oh, man. So Hangman he's officially going to be partnering with the Dark Order. So it's like, it's only getting closer to him being an official member. And by the way, I'm cool with all this stuff. Like, a lot of people are kind of complaining that, Hangman lost at the #1 Contenders match at Full Gear. And now he's just kind of getting buried or whatever, What I really do think is happening is that it's long-term storytelling. So Hangman is done with the world title stuff for now. He's going to be messing with Dark Order for who knows how long. He will be back in the title picture, and he will honestly probably be the one to take the title from Kenny Omega. So I think it's just slow building up, and that a lot will come out of this, and I think it'll be great. After that segment, this led to a Dark Order match. It was number 10 versus Dustin Rhodes, who had Lee Johnson alongside. This match wasn't much at all. There was a spinebuster by 10 at the beginning that didn't even look that great. For some reason, Aaron Solo, who I actually don't even know who that is, I just see him on BTE, but he was in the crowd and he shoved 10 in the middle of the match for whatever reason. 10 kicked him in the face, kicked his face off. Dustin bites 10 in the face and lands a running bulldog for the win. So it's kind of, like I said, just not a whole lot happening kind of match. Evil Uno and Dark Order are pissed off. Evil Uno gets into the ring, but he says, listen, man, I don't want to fight. He wants to improve the future. Dustin's generation has spanned 5 decades. His name comes with pressure, but unfortunately, he's just the 3rd most important Rhodes, which... The thing is, Evil Uno's trying to recruit Dustin. I'm like, well, why would you say that if you're trying to recruit the guy? So he's like, listen, man, you want to join Dark Order? You'll be number 7. Dustin just slaps Uno after a long time of, kind of teasing that he might join. Everyone knew he wasn't going to, so he slaps Uno. Dark Order is running to the ring to attack, but Uno stops them. Uno says that when Dustin understands what he understands, he'll come back begging. So yeah, we'll see what Dark Order have in store, I guess, for Dustin Rhodes. Tony Schiavone with Brandy Rhodes, and none other than Shaquille O'Neal. So, about a month ago, or just over a month ago or so, this random lady named Jade Cargill came out and said that Shaq is coming to, I think, kill Cody or something like that. We hadn't heard anything about it until like yesterday or 2 days ago. They announced that he's going to be on the show. And of course, like I mentioned, Brandy Rhodes is present for the interview. I guess because Shaq is with Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill attacked Brandy Rhodes, so she just kind of wanted to be involved in this interview, get some information or whatever. Tony Schiavone obviously is putting over Shaq like crazy. Names all the titles Shaq has, and for Brandy Rhodes, he's just like, oh, the chief brand officer. Brandy's all pissed off. How come you give Shaq this great intro and me nothing? Shaq was watching Jade Cargill. They go a long way back apparently, but mentions that he's unfortunately he's not so okay with what happened with Brandy's arm. Brandy's arm also is in a cast, all wrapped up and stuff. Again, Shaq says he didn't approve of Jade Cargill's actions that day. Brandy says that Jade came to her house and messed with her people. Brandy's going to fight back next time, basically, is what she said. Shaq says that, and also I just want to apologize or whatever, kind of like apologized for the Cody tweets a few months ago talking about how he wants to take out Cody. He says, it wasn't any disrespect, man. He's just really excited to see, eventually see Brandy Rhodes and Jade Cargill wrestle. So I think the interview was just coming to a close. So Brandy Rhodes was about to leave. And Shaq was like seeming like he was a little salty with Jade Cargill the whole interview until now as Brandy's leaving. Shaq basically tells Brandy to get on Jade's level. Brandy's not happy with it. She's like, I'm tired of this shit, being disrespected. Dude, she takes a cup of water and throws it at Shaq. And Shaq is just like out of his mind. He's like so surprised. Calls Brandy Rhodes called him an overgrown asshole. An overgrown asshole. That's what she called him. That was great. I liked the segment a lot. So yeah, I do think that the Shaq versus Cody thing is still going to happen. Just a slow build up, I guess, is what's going on here. But I loved that segment. And now we're going to one of the next biggest segments on the show. Will Inner Circle be breaking up? It's the Inner Circle Ultimatum here. So last week, Chris Jericho, after all kind of the chaos that's been going in the Inner Circle, with MJF coming in and everybody hating MJF, there's just been a lot of lack of chemistry. So Chris Jericho said last week, listen, guys, we got 7 days. Get your shit together or we're going to break up. So this is where we find out what happened. So Jericho says that it's a serious night for the Inner Circle. It can be the last time we see them because this shit's been going on. This shit that's been going on is not what Jericho wanted when he made the Inner Circle and when he brought MJF and Wardlow in. Says they're just not on the same page. Sammy doesn't like MJF. Wardlow and Hager don't like each other. One thing that was kind of weird, he says Santana is so pissed off that he didn't even show up. So a couple of things about that. The funny thing is that Santana is actually the only one who's been completely cool this whole time. Like, he hasn't really had a problem with anything. So we know that he's not missing because he's pissed off. So I'm not sure where Santana's at. I hope he's doing well and he's okay and everything. I hope we get to see him back soon. But I know he's not missing just because he's pissed off or whatever. And he's been missing for a while. I feel like the last time we saw him might have been the Las Vegas trip or something, but maybe he's stuck in Las Vegas. So yeah, do they move forward or do they end it as a team tonight? MJF takes the floor. He says he loves Inner Circle like they're brothers, but feels that he actually might be the issue in the group. He says he listens to social media. Everybody thinks that MJF wants to break up the group or take over the group or kick out Jericho or whatever, but makes it clear that the only reason he joined is because he wanted to be a part of the greatest faction in wrestling and create binds that will never be broken. Says he loves Sammy, but he blames him for the towel throwing incident last week. Obviously it was MJF trying to throw in the towel. He's just blaming it on Sammy. So Jericho is like, listen, buddy, we all watched Dynamite, right? He's like, we all saw what happened. It was you who had the towel. And MJF is trying to scapegoat. He's like, dude, I had a sweat on my eyebrow, is what he says. Like, all right, buddy. So Ortiz takes a mic and says MJF and Wardlow are a benefit to the group. MJF is growing on him like a fungus, but nonetheless still growing on him. Ortiz asks Sammy to shake MJF's hand. Says Jericho chose MJF. Sometimes, you're not dealt the best hand in life, but we got to work this out, Sammy says, you know what? I trust Jericho with everything. He brought me into the inner circle. He, really helped out my career. He'll shake MJF's hand. But Sammy warns not just MJF. He goes to Jericho's face and says, listen, I'm warning you. If any bullshit happens again, I'm leaving Inner Circle. Jericho's like, all right, man. Sammy and MJF shake on it. Jericho says this is huge. Says we should all be on the same page. But Hager interjects and says he has a question. He says, why does Wardlow keep staring at me? And then they cut to Wardlow. He's like, what? You're the one who's been staring at me this whole time. And dude, it was like just such a flashback to elementary school. Jericho's like, okay, guys, I have an idea. How about we stop staring at each other? It's like they're little kids. So they're like, okay, but they're still like kind of staring at each other. Jericho says he believes that they could work this out. It's time to agree to the future. MJF says that he will beat Orange Cassidy in the main event. Jericho stops him and tells the Inner Circle to put the middle fingers in, because that's instead of putting the hand in, they put the middle fingers in. So they all do it, and everything is all smooth and dandy with Inner Circle, at least for now. For the next segment, we had Marvez with FTR after their first win since Full Gear, first match since Full Gear. Cash immediately blames himself for the title loss. We tried beating the Young Bucks at their own game. Tully's like, listen, man, cut it out, dude. I wasn't there. He basically says, that's why you guys lost, because me, this 65-year-old man, wasn't there to help you guys out. He says he's the third member of the team. Dak says that FTR are the 84 Bronco. I think that's like a football team or something. I don't know. He's comparing it to another football team. Maybe it's a car or something. I don't know. From now on, their goal is the championships. Fear the Revelation. And next, we had a 6-man battle between Eddie Kingston, Butcher, and Blade alongside the Bunny versus Lucha Bros and Lance Archer alongside Jake Roberts. I was highly anticipating that Pac was going to come out. I don't know if this was announced last week or what. I was thinking it was going to be Death Triangle, but out came Lance Archer, which, hey, I ain't complaining. He did his usual entrance, immediately comes out and dives onto Butcher and Blade, and the whole match, whole thing goes crazy. Everybody's brawling. Butcher throws Penta El Zero Miedo through a table ringside. The bell actually rings after the fact. Penta was actually helped to the back by officials, so they played it off like he was seriously injured, which I gotta say, I thought was kind of dumb. It's like, dude, this is Penta. This isn't some, like, jobber dude from Dark or something. Like, he goes through a table. I'm sure he's been through a table in AEW and probably worked an extra 15 minutes in a match. It's like, why is this table bump so bad? So I didn't particularly like that, to be honest, but that's how the match was from that point on. It was a 2-on-3. It's my mind kind of wants to speculate. Like, why did they get rid of Penta? Like, is he injured or something? I don't know. Bunny got a couple interferences during ref distractions. Phoenix landed a cutter on Eddie Kingston. Archer got hot tagged in. Huge full Nelson slam to the Blade. Poor Blade, man. The guy's just a bump sponge at this point. Jake Roberts grabs Blade's leg to help Archer after the break. Phoenix got a huge dive on the Blade, takes out Butcher and Kingston. Butcher and Blade somehow got the advantage and landed their finisher for the win. So it wasn't a whole lot to happen in the match on this one as well. After the match, Lance goes for an attack on all three of the heels. Punches Blade in the face and throws the poor guy, as I just said, the guy He's not in an enviable position. Tries landing a blackout on Blade, but Butcher saves. Tries landing blackout on Blade, but Butcher saves. That's a lot of B's. Next up in the back, this is one of those segments that just like went literally like 5 seconds. In the back, Red Velvet is being attacked by Jade Cargill and Nyla Rose until wrestlers come for the save. I think there was like Big Swole, a few other wrestlers came for the save. I don't remember who all of them were, but that was it. It took me longer to explain that than it went on for. Something else that was announced for today was Abaddon in action. Always awesome seeing Abaddon. I love her just scaring the shit out of me. 2 weeks ago, she traumatized Hikaru Shida, and Hikaru Shida gave us a little Seth Rollins treatment. Abaddon is facing Tesha Price. Abaddon takes out Tesha Price with a leg trip, lands her finisher for the win. So obviously that match didn't go too long. Her finish is really cool though. She does like that thing where you wear your opponent as a backpack or whatever, but she takes their head and like drops down, so basically stunners them. It's actually a really cool finisher. Post-match, she's not done. Abaddon's just banging Tesha Price's head on the mat until Shida comes for the save, kendo stick in hand. And something that I honestly haven't seen with a kendo stick for a while, whacked her right on the top of the head with the kendo stick. Just whacked her right on the head. And what I mean by don't see so often is you don't see headshots like that so often. Usually it's like a stomach shot or a back shot right on the head. Abaddon no-sold it, did an Undertaker sit-up, and spooks Shida away again. Shida takes Tesha Price to the back. Next up, we have Dasha with Inner Circle. Jericho says that everyone's now on the same page. Even Sammy Guevara agreed to continue with the team. They're going to be there ringside for MJF's main event. And next up, we have Kenny Omega, our new AEW World Champion, is here to address being the champion. Obviously, something big that happened last night on Impact. Kenny Omega showed up, and yeah, it was just a sit-down segment with Callis and Josh Matthews, and it was basically Callis talking about how he knew Kenny Omega since he was a kid. I think he said that he knew his uncle, the Golden Sheik. Just talked about the whole journey up until now, and their whole master plan being a success and having won the AEW Championship. So Kenny Omega and Don Callis, they enter in style, man. They entered in a helicopter. Alex Marvez, after they get out of the helicopter, he tries getting a word in with them. Kenny and Don deny an interview. They're like, listen, man, I know it's cool I came in a helicopter, but, you know, I'm the champ. Get away from me. Justin Roberts welcomes the first wrestler to hold 2 AEW titles, the first AEW wrestler to pin Jon Moxley. He's held 17 different singles titles. He's undefeated in sanctioned AEW competition. I think you mentioned maybe another thing I missed. Oh, first AEW wrestler on Impact. And sorry, the last thing he mentioned was that he flew over North Carolina to get to Dynamite. I have no clue what this North Carolina thing is all about. So Tony Schiavone's in the ring with Callis and Omega. He asks about what happened with the gentleman's agreement. By the way, Kenny came out of the heel tunnel this time, so he's officially heel. Tony mentioned that he had never been more disgusted since 1983 with Kenny Omega's actions. Dude, I'm sure shit happened like 3 weeks ago that's worse than anything Kenny did. 1983. He's never been more disgusted. Oh, hey, it's SLXMP. I look like Jamal Murray. Okay, who the hell is Jamal Murray? I hope you're still here. Are you still here, man? Who the hell is Jamal Murray? Do I look like this guy? Oh yeah, he's an NBA player. How the hell did I not know? No, I don't. Hey, it's funny you mentioned I'm from Toronto. He's from I think Kitchener or Windsor or something. So we actually we have that in common. But thanks for stopping by, it's SLXMP. If you're still here, drop something else in the chat. Let me know if you watch any wrestling. So Don Callis is just mocking Tony Schiavone after the I haven't been more disgusted since 1983 remark. Says that everyone's upset, even Tony Khan's upset. Tony invited Callis and feels like he's the one who got screwed. Tells Khan, "Welcome to the wrestling business, buddy." Says hell froze over last night with Kenny on Impact. This plan is years in the making. He's known Kenny since he was 10 years old. 3 years ago, he and Kenny changed the wrestling business when he put together the Alpha Omega match in 2017 in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Of course, Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Tony Khan himself said that if it weren't for that, there would be no AEW. So don't be mad at what created this, buddy. So he's making good points. Don Callis is a great talker. I'll tell you that I have very minimal exposure to Don Callis because I don't watch Impact. Never did, really, ever. For better or for worse. Kenny says that he didn't have to go to Tony Khan to ask for a job at AEW. He waited over a year while they plotted and planned and pulled it off successfully. You talk about the posters, magazines, and all the good stuff, whatever. They don't pale in comparison to the AEW title, the best title in wrestling, or the most prestigious title in wrestling. Kenny says, other than a 5-star wrestling match, it was a performance, a work of art. Everyone watching fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Kenny definitely doesn't care. Says that John might have blacked Kenny's eye. He takes off his shades and reveals that he actually does have a black eye from the match. But John unfortunately still fell for it because no one kicks out of the one-winged angel. Kenny says, so after he said that, he was about to make an announcement, actually. He said, so you think last week's been crazy? Wait until... And then Don Callis is like, listen, don't say anything. These people can't handle it or whatever. So he stops him from making any announcement. And Don's just like, hey, listen, how about you do the thing, huh? Do the thing. So Kenny does his, without further ado, I bid you adieu, good night, bang. Cool promo. Honestly, I really liked this heel promo from Kenny Omega. Next week, we have Private Party and Matt Hardy versus Dark Order. I swear I heard Jim Ross call them Private Hardy. I have no... I don't think it was intentional because the graphic said Private Party and Matt Hardy, but Jim Ross called them Private Hardy. Hey, I don't think it's a bad name, actually. Anyway, again, they're facing Dark Order. We got Hangman... So it's going to be Private Party and Hardy against Dark Order and Hangman. And then we got SCU versus the Acclaimed. Serena Deeb will be back against Big Swole. Serena Deeb will be back with Big Swole facing Ivelisse and Diamante. And they announced 3 big shows. And actually, it's the soonest one that I kind of missed. However, I think they mentioned that Snoop Dogg's going to be on it. I believe it's 2 weeks from now. I believe it's the 23rd. Will be the first big event. Unfortunately, I missed the name of the event or whatever. I think they mentioned Snoop Dogg's going to be there. And we're getting 2 weeks of New Year's Smash on December 30th and January 6th. So it's going to be a lot of fun the next few weeks. That leads us into our main event of the evening. This is MJF versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring. Coming off last week's 2 remaining Battle Royal contestants. Of course, the remaining contestants were MJF and Orange Cassidy. MJF right out of the gate is stomping Orange Cassidy. Doesn't let any bullshit fly. He's not letting this hands in pockets stuff. None. Immediately goes after him, breaks his glasses right after. Cassidy still had his shirt on during the attack, took his shirt off, threw it at MJF. MJF is strangling Orange Cassidy with it. What's the first thing that comes to my mind? Why isn't he getting disqualified, right? But to their absolute credit, the announcers clarified the referee would, in that situation, have to count to 5 for it to be a disqualification. So, hey, I guess that's a rule. That's an AEW rule, and they better just stick with it. Orange Cassidy managed to land a Slumdog Millionaire pretty early on. Orange Cassidy went for an orange punch on the apron. MJF dodged, and Orange hit the ring post. MJF stuffs Orange's hands in his pockets before powerbombing him on the apron. MJF puts Orange Cassidy's hands inside of the turnbuckle steel and starts like stretching his hand over it. MJF distracts the referee, throws Orange outside, inner circle attack, and we go to commercial break. Back from break, there's a whole bunch of baby faces ringside. I don't know why. I mentioned it on the stream a couple times. I don't really pay much attention during picture-in-picture. But yeah, they get back from break, and there's a whole bunch of baby faces. Like, there's Top Flight is there. I think even Garrison and Pillman were there. I don't know why. I think the announcers said, oh, the best friends left, but the best friends were still there. I have no clue what all these people were doing. One of the announcers mentioned it's an impromptu lumberjack match, so I don't know what the hell the deal was there. Cassidy lands his tope, diving crossbody, swinging DDT, and diving DDT. All that led to a near fall. MJF landed a shoulder breaker and Tiger Driver for a near fall. MJF goes for a heat seeker. Orange escapes, lands a springboard senton. MJF catches Cassidy, lands a heat seeker for a near fall. Ref is distracted, so Jericho throws Floyd to MJF. I loved this part, it was great. So MJF he's like about to hit Orange Cassidy, but since the ref's distracted, he's like, whatever. He hits the mat and falls back, the Eddie Guerrero thing. But the thing is, who's distracting the referee? It's the best friends. So the best friends are still distracting. They're not going to stop the distraction. So Orange takes the bat, does the same thing, and falls down, and the referee sees it. And I guess he was deciding whether or not to disqualify, but Orange Cassidy took MJF into a beach break for a near fall. MJF shortly after locked in or at least tried to lock in his Salt of the Earth Fujiwara armbar until Cassidy's able to land an orange punch for a near fall. Another orange punch. This time Wardlow puts MJF's leg on the rope. And this causes all the wrestlers outside to go nuts because, there's a bunch of heels from the inner circle. There's a bunch of random baby faces for whatever reason. So they're all fighting. And during the fight, guess who got to close the show? Miro. Miro came to the ring because all the wrestlers were attacking and going insane. The referee was distracted, so Miro goes after Orange Cassidy, attacks him, and this leads to MJF getting the cover on Orange Cassidy for the win. So MJF is still the holder of the Dynamite Diamond Ring through until about this time next year. So we'll see how it goes by then. After the match, Miro is beating up a whole bunch of officials. Like a shitload of officials came out after the attack on Orange Cassidy for some reason. It was like, I swear, a dozen of them. And Miro's just beating up a whole bunch of them. One of them he threw right off the stage. It kind of looked bad. Just beating up a whole bunch of guys and yells, "It's over!" And that's how we go off the air. That's when they fade out, is with Miro's big head on the screen. So I'm happy for the guy. I'm happy he got a little main event spot there. I think this was a pretty damn good show. Obviously, it was super, super stacked. There's like a million segments. So some of them obviously were prioritized way above others. So there were a couple weak points, but hey, man, great wrestling show. I absolutely love seeing Sting. I really love that segment. I love this stuff with Shaq, too. Really excited to see how that goes. I'm really excited for the next 3 weeks. Because, yeah, like I said, there's going to be a lot of crazy events happening. I think they might even have more stuff in January after those 3 weeks. But, yeah, we'll close it off here, everyone. That was AEW Dynamite, again, December 9th, 2020. Real great show. I hope everybody enjoyed the stream. Join me next week. We'll be back live after Dynamite goes off the air. Take care. Be safe. Stay healthy. Take care, everyone.